Welcome to today's session of CRM Functional Online Training. So let's start with what we'll get in today's session. Today's session is divided into three parts. In the first part, we'll discuss about the buffering of the sales and service organization, where we'll look into why buffering is used, how to enable the buffer, and how to update the buffer. In the second part, we'll look into how you can define custom general attributes. We'll also take an example to understand how the custom attributes could be used in our org determination. In our third part, we'll see into the system how the different org determination rules could be created, assigned to your org determination profile, and finally assigned to the transaction type or item category. So, coming to buffering. Now, some process of CRM needs to have the sales area. The sales area are represented in the org model that could be maintained with the transaction PPOMA_CRM. Now, this means they are not physically stored, but they are a result of different combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and division. Now, whenever a CRM transaction or a business partner needs the sales area, they are calculated. And this is an expensive process. To speed up this process, the sales areas are buffered. Now, we can enable the buffer using a T code OOATTRCUST or via the view T770MATTR, which could be accessed via SM30. Now, we also have a report HRBCI_attributes_buffer update, which is used for updating the buffer. So, whenever you change anything in the org model attributes, so you need to update the sales area data, like you have maintained a different combination of the distribution channel and division. So you want that to be available for determination. So in that case, unless you will be enabling the object permitted determination, the checkbox that I have showed you in the previous session, and you update the program to update the buffer, you will not be able to see the updated results. So it's mandatory to execute the program HRBCI_attributes_buffer update after you make any changes in attributes. So normally in any project scenario, this program is scheduled as a job to run after midnight. Okay. Now let me tell you one thing. Since the org model rules use these attributes for calculation of the org unit, we can use the other rule, that is the org rule by responsibility, if you are very much concerned with performance, because the responsibility determination rules determine the required organization unit or required partner without evaluating the org model. That is why the determination rule of responsibility type perform better in case of performance. So let's have a look into what this T code and this program is. Okay. So we go into the system and we type OOATTRCUST. So this will pull up my customizing general attributes. So here you can see the scenarios, okay, for marketing, sales, and service, and you have a column of buffering. So if you click on this button, the buffering is enabled. So if I go to the display mode, you'll be able to see that how the buffering is enabled or disabled. You can see the system marketing is not enabled. So here it is, the buffering allowed is ticked. Okay. In the sales scenario, the buffering is enabled. Whereas we saw that in the marketing scenario, the buffering is not enabled. So the buffering is not enabled over here. Okay. Now let us see what is this program. We go to SE38. So that's our ABAP editor, and we have the program HRBCI underscore attributes underscore buffer update, and we click on execute by pressing F8, or this could also be used for executing this program. So here you can see the option is attribute buffer. You delete all the buffers and you restructure buffer as on date. It also shows you when was the buffer last set up, and it also shows you the buffering is set for which scenarios. Okay, so if I click on the execute button over here, the old buffer gets deleted and the new buffer gets restructured as on date. So this updates my buffer, and it's very necessary that we update the buffer periodically and as and when the changes in attributes happen to the org model. So you can see the updating attribute buffer for general attributes. So the buffer got deleted. Okay. So now here we have our org model which we created in our previous session, and we had picked the object permitted and determination. So this is also very important. Okay. So as I told you that we can create custom general attributes via this T code OOATTR-cust. So look into the system how we can create a new attribute, assign it to the desired scenario, and assign that to the desired object type, which is either our org unit or position. So let's have a look. So here we are in the same T code OOATTR-cust. We go to attributes. So here we click on new attribute. We name it Z ATTR O because it's a org unit attribute. I give it a attribute for test. Now I have to link a table name and a field name. Any attribute will definitely store a value, so you must have been referencing to a table name and a field name. So for testing purpose, we just take any random table. We've taken the example of table name ADRC, that is the address table. So let's take a field name, anything related to cities. Okay, we have a field name city code. Let's take that. So we'd like to take this, the city code. And then, so we click on multiple values, which means that we can maintain multiple values for the city code. Okay, and we click on save. So we get a transport request. We save the changes to the transport request. Now what we need to do is we have to assign this attribute to a scenario. So we go to scenarios. Okay, let's move back. Don't select the marketing. We want to assign this to the service scenario. So click on service scenario, we click on attribute scenarios, and we click on new entries. And we select the scenario again, scenario service. We give the name of the attribute. Now here we can maintain the inheritance type, whether you want the local values to override the inherited values or not. Inherited values cannot be redefined locally. You can prevent the inherited values to be changed in the subordinate org units. You can maintain no inheritance. In this case, the attribute values that has been maintained at the upper level org units would not flow down to the subordinate org units. Local values override inherited values, which means that in the subordinate org units, you have the option to change or override the inherited values that come from the higher level org units. Then normal inheritance, which means additive, means you can add to the inherited values. Okay, so let's keep it normal inheritance. Okay, I can make this a required attribute. In that case, it will be mandatory to fill this attribute. I am not making it, so I'm just clicking on save. So this data got saved. Now I'm still not done. I have to assign this to either an org unit or a position. For that, I have to come to object types. I have to click on new entries. I have to select the scenario service. I have to mention the attribute, and I have to select the org attribute, object type. So I have two options over here. One is O. O stands for org unit, N stands for position. So I will assign this to an org unit. So then I click on save. Okay, so I'm done. Now let's come to again attribute section. Go back. Yeah, so here I have my attribute. Okay, attribute for test. It's a multi-valued attribute. I have specified the name and the field. Okay, now let's go to our scenarios. In our scenario service, and I'll be selecting the attribute scenarios. Now here I can make my attribute as invisible. I can change the sequence in which my attributes will be visible. Okay, so let's have a look into this. Where is my attribute over here? So ZATTRO is not invisible, so it's visible. So let's give it a sequence of 1 and click on save. So my data got saved. Now let's pull up the organization model maintenance. So the T code for org model maintenance is PPOMA_CRM, where N stands for maintenance. So here I have my scenario. So when we pull up our org unit, you can see in the attribute maintenance scenario service, we have our attribute for test. So I've just entered the attribute for test value as 1, and I click on object parameter indetermination, and I click on save. So my org unit value set, since I had set that it could contain multiple values, so I can select additional row for it, additional attribute for test, by simply clicking on insert. The same attribute value would get copied, and then we can change the value as something as 2, and we will again save the org model. So you see the release of object for scenario has been reset. So what I need to do is again click on object parameter indetermination, and then again click on save. So now I'm done. So this is how we can create attributes. Now we'll come to the third part of our session, wherein we will be creating org determination rules org model rule and org rule by responsibility, and we will be assigning them to the org determination profile and finally to the transaction or item category. So let's see how we can do that. So in our SPR row, we have to go to customer relationship management, master data, organization management, and then come down to org data determination. Then we have to create determination rule from organization model. Then I have to click on continue. You have to enter basic description as Z attribute org model rule. Z attribute org model rule, and package we are selecting as a temporary package $TMP. Then this is rule that belongs to service scenario, so I select on service, I click on continue, and then we have to select the attribute, and here first sequence is ZATTRO attribute for test, and I click on continue, and my rule is created. So the rule number we can note it down from here. It's 9, some zeros, and last two. Now we can see this rule in change rules in profiles. Please note that we create the rule with a wizard. So this is the wizard for org data determination, where we can create determination rule from org model, which means org model rule. Second one is create determination rule of responsibility type. And third is the wizard for creating and assigning org data profile. And we have a node change rules and profiles, where we can pull up the first node for maintaining org model determination rule. The second one is for changing the determination rule of the responsibility type. Okay, so let's have a look into this rule, org model rule. So it starts with 9 and ends with 2. So maintain determination rules. So here I will change it to 22. I click on enter. The description comes here. I click on the spectacles to display, and I can simulate it. So I get a pop-up where I can enter the container value. So you must be remembering that I entered the value 1 and 2. So let's enter 1 and press on enter and see what happens. Okay. So 2 org gets determined, my root organization and my subordinate organization. So why so? So let's have a look. So you can see in my root organization I had 2 attributes, 1 and 2, and in my subordinate organization unit I also had this attribute, and those were inherited. So in this case, both of the attributes are present in both the org units, and hence in my rule I am able to see 2 organization units. So even if I give 1 or I give 2, these values get determined. Now if let's give 3 and no org get determined, because we do not have an attribute named 3. Okay, so this is how we saw how we can create an attribute, assign it to the scenario, assign it to the org unit, use that org unit, use that attribute, and find my responsible org unit using org determination by responsibility rule. Okay, and now let's have a look into how we can create determination rule of the responsibility type. So from the same wizard, just below node we can see create determination rule of the responsibility type. So as you have learned that responsibility type rule is more or less hard coding, so we'll see how you can create it using the wizard. So let's give it a description. Z responsibility rule, ZOR. Okay, Z organization responsibility rule, package is $TMP, Click on continue. Here we'll select the scenario as service. We click on continue. Now we can use any of the attributes. Okay, so let's use our Z attribute, ZATTRO. Okay, we click on continue. Now here we have to select the value. Suppose I select the value is 1. I don't give a 2 value. Okay, it's optional. I can give a range. I'm not giving it. I'm giving it Z just 1 for this, and I click on continue. And I have to assign a responsible org unit. So I click on this plus button, and I will be setting the responsible organization unit, which should be determined. Okay. So instead of the ones we created, let's use some already created units. Let's use SK Slovakia. Okay, this is an org unit which we didn't create, and obviously this attribute was created new, so the value of 1 is also not present over here. Okay, so I click on continue, and I click on continue, and that will complete our creation of responsibility rule. So you can see the responsibility rule 2.3 got created. Now let's go over here and check it. Change rules and profile, change determination rules with responsibility type. So I give the rule, our digit was 23. So here you see simulate rule resolution. So if I give the value as 1, wait a minute, let me just show you. This is my org unit, and this is my rule. I click on display. So when the value is 1, the one which should be determined is Slovakia. So I click on simulate rule resolution, and we give the container value as 1, and we get the Slovakia, which is assigned over here. But if I give on 2, nothing should be determined because it's just hard coding. We have coded it. If it is 1, it should be Slovakia. Now what if I want to give 2? So what I need to do is I will have to take this rule. I have to copy this rule. Okay. I click on the tick mark. Now this rule gets created. I click on the edit button, and instead of 1 I give 2. I click on save. I go back. Now I have to assign an org unit. So this is the button, insert agent. So I will be creating an org unit. I select the org unit and I click on continue. So I can select which org unit to get selected in case the attribute value is 2. So let's give it let's get selected as Argentina. Okay, so I click on create button. So what is the rule that I am creating? When the value of the attribute is 1, Slovakia should be determined, and the value of the attribute will be 2, Argentina should be determined. So let's have a look. Simulate rule resolution. The value is 1, Slovakia is determined, the value is 2, Argentina gets determined. So this is a hard coding. So this involves multiple maintenance. So in the first rule, you needn't have to bother about creating these formulas. Wherever the attribute value has been set as that in the org model, it will go and search in the org model. Wherever it matches the value, it will find out. But this is not the case in responsibility rule. It doesn't matter what you maintain in the org model, it's just based upon the formulas that you set over here. Okay. Now the next thing which you need to do is we have to assign the rules that we have created to the org determination profile. We are creating a determination profile using wizard. Create and assign org determination profile, org data profile. So click on execute button over here. So we have created two rules, one ending with 22 and other ending with 23. Okay. So let's give a profile name Z test org determination profile, ODP, org determination profile. Click on continue. So here we will get an option, sales scenario, service scenario. Since we have selected service scenario, we will click the scenario service and then click on continue. Now we have an option, what kind of determination rules do you intend to assign to this org determination profile, whether it's org attributes category, responsibility category, or both, or you're not assigning any determination rule, which we sometimes do when we assign the org determination profile to item category, as we have discussed in an earlier session. So here we will be assigning both. Okay, so click on continue. So org attributes category rule would be 9 and 22, and responsibility category will be 9 and the value is 23. So let's give it to 3 and I click on continue. So if I want to make obligatory attributes, the attributes are available for making mandatory service organization, then I can assign this to a transaction type. So we'll be discussing what is the transaction type in our follow-up sessions. So for the time being, suppose I want to assign it to this transaction type because I see no org determination profile has been assigned to it. So let's click on continue. The new profile is assigned to the selected transaction type. Okay, so click on complete. So our org determination profile ZTESTODP was created successfully. ZTESTODP. Now let's have a look into transactions, and we'll see in the basic settings, define transaction type. As we have assigned the org determination profile to a transaction type, we would like to see whether the 004 was incoming email transaction type. I click on display button, and I can see my org determination profile ZTestODP was assigned to this. So I can make the assignment directly from that wizard, or I can manually also assign an org determination profile in the transaction type customization. Okay. So we'll look into the rules, how we are creating the org determination rule by responsibility type and org determination rule of org model type. So we created the rules, we created a Z attribute, and we assigned the rule to org determination profile and then to a transaction type. So this is our customizing checklist where we define first the determination rules. So the determination rules will be available, and then we will be choosing a scenario and assigning the determination rules to your org determination profile, where we will select which org attribute is mandatory. As we selected, the service organization is mandatory, and then we will be assigning that our org determination profile to a transaction type or to an item category. Okay, so let's revise what we have done till so far. First of all, we have created org unit. We created a position. We saw how to create or maintain the attributes. Okay. We saw how we can maintain the buffers in OOATTR cust. We saw how we can update the buffer by using the program in SE38 HRBCI _ attributes _ buffer update. And then we created one responsibility rule and org model rule. And we saw how the responsibility rule is more or less hard-coded. We also learned the responsibility rule is faster and better in terms of performance. But the org model rule is more or less logical because it looks into the master data and from there it takes that to the value and then it goes and searches in the org model rule. So it is a generalized rule. Okay. Then we have assigned that to your org determination profile, and finally to a transaction type. So this is how our org model is set up in the system, and the determination happens and the organization data is populated in our transactions. We also learned that the org model could be created via GUI as well as web UI. From GUI, it can be created using transaction PPOCA underscore CRM. This is for creating the org model, the root organization unit. And if you want to maintain the created org unit, then it's PPOMA underscore CRM. Okay, so you can note down these two T codes. These are very useful. PPOCA underscore CRM for creating, PPOMA underscore CRM for maintaining. So C stands for creation, M stands for maintenance. Okay, that way you can remember it, and you can also use the web UI to set up your org model. You can create positions, you can assign employees and users to your org unit. Okay, so happy learning.